Have you ever wondered what the scariest true stories on the internet actually are? Well, someone asked a simple question on our /ask Reddit. What is your most disturbing, scary, or creepy real story? Serious. Within hours, thousands of people began sharing experiences that still haunt them to this day. From unexplained encounters to moments that could have ended in tragedy, these aren't fictional horror stories. They're real accounts from ordinary people. After digging through countless replies, I've picked the top 3 stories that you absolutely have to hear. So turn down the lights, put your headphones on, and let's begin. This one is a reminder that sometimes the scariest thing you can do isn't exploring an abandoned building or walking through the woods. It's simply pulling over to get some sleep. Here's why you should never sleep on the side of a deserted road. The story begins. 2 years ago, I was driving home from a family reunion pretty late at night, and the drive was about 2 hours. I didn't stay the night because I had to be back for work the following day. Most of the drive was on roads with dense bushes and trees on either side, the real creepy ones you see a lot in movies. Anyway, I had been driving about 45 minutes and I was starting to get really tired. You know how sometimes you just suddenly become really tired, out of nowhere? Well, yeah, that happened to me. I knew I wasn't going to last, but I didn't come across any place that I felt I could park and safely sleep. Anyway, after it became clear to me that I wasn't going to find a place to pull up and my tiredness wasn't going away, I did something very questionable. I pulled over to the side of the road onto the grass behind some bushes to try and hide my car from anybody else who was going to come past. The roads weren't empty. I came across another car every few minutes or so. I made a mental note that the time was 11:22 and then fell asleep. Some time later, I was awoken by a scratching sound. I looked at the clock, 11:50. The sound stopped after a few seconds, and because I was still extremely tired, I didn't bother looking around and simply went back to sleep. I was later awoken by the same sound, and it was now 12:40. This time it really freaked me out because the sound didn't stop. The thought ran across my mind that it was just an animal inspecting the car, but why would it return almost an hour after it had left the previous time? I looked in my rear view mirror and just managed to catch a glimpse of something running away into the forest. Now, at the time, I thought it was the damn hook killer. You know, the one that scratched that couple's car and then slaughtered the guy when he got out to investigate? Fuck that, I thought to myself, so I got the hell out of there. There was a bend no more than 100 yards up the road, and as I came around it, there was a fucking car parked off to the side of the road with the driver's side door opened. I slowed down just to look to see if anyone was in there. There wasn't. Then I looked in my rear view mirror. I didn't see anything, and all of a sudden, this guy comes sprinting around the corner. He starts screaming at me, shouting stuff like, Hey you, get the fuck out of your car. Now. I noped the fuck out of there and sped off. I never saw the guy again. Moral of the story? Don't fucking sleep on the side of a deserted road. Now, whether that person was trying to rob the driver, lure them out of the car, or something even worse, we'll never know. One thing's for sure, after hearing that, you're probably going to think twice before pulling over on a deserted road. But if you thought that story was unsettling, the next one is even more terrifying because it happened in broad daylight, surrounded by people. Sometimes, the most dangerous encounters don't happen in the middle of nowhere. They happen when you least expect them. Here's the next story. Okay, this is 100% true. I'm 23 now, and this happened about 10 years ago, so I was probably 13 or 14. Anyway, I used to skateboard all the time with my friends Tim and Brandon. One day, we got done skating, and we decided to go to July 11th to get some food/drinks before we went home. Remember, I was only 13/14, so we weren't driving, we had skated to the July 11th, and were planning on skating/walking back home. Anyway, we buy our drinks, and we left the store. We walked to the parking lot's exit and prepared to cross the highway. It's not a bust highway, since it's a small town. While we waited for the traffic light to turn red so that we could cross, I looked behind me at the 7-Eleven gas pumps. I noticed a 40 to 50-year-old man pumping gas into his white truck. He stared at me, and before I knew it, he dropped the gas pump and jumped into his truck. He slammed on the gas and sped straight at my friends and I. He missed us, but he grazed my arm and knocked my skateboard out of my hand. My friend, Brandon, screamed, WTF, you fucking dick, as the man peeled out and sped into the parking lot next to 7-Eleven. I swear to God, he drove through a ditch, which was between 7-Eleven's parking lot and the parking lot he was in, and tried to run us over again. This is where it got bad. The three of us started running at full speed across the highway and toward the local library, which is like 2 to 3 blocks from July 11th. When we were about 1/2 a block away, I looked back and saw the maniac speeding toward us, full of rage. Brandon and Tim ran up to the library doors and I ran towards the woods. It was Sunday, so I knew the library was closed and there was a trail in the woods which led to my backyard. Meanwhile, this maniac peeled into the parking lot and hopped out of his truck. I looked behind me before escaping into the woods and saw him grab either a shotgun or a crowbar. I was pretty far away at this point, and I was freaking out so my vision wasn't great from the bed of his truck. I ran all the way home. When I got to my street, my neighbor, Tim's dad, told me to get in his car because we had to go to the video store, which is where Tim's mom worked. When I got there, I found Tim and Brandon. They ran to the video store after realizing that the library was closed and 3 cops. A minute later, my mom came in, crying her eyes out because Brandon and Tim told her they didn't know if I lived or not. Everyone had thought that I was captured. Tim told me that he saw the guy running after me into the woods, which is scary because I thought the maniac was chasing them, not me. Anyway, he was never caught, and I spent the next 5 years worrying about every white truck I saw. Sad face. Edit. I forgot the most scary part. Angry face. My town is small, but it's not empty. There were plenty of people around while this was going on. I felt so helpless, running for my life, while there were at least 100 people around, not doing a thing about it. Also, to be clear, we didn't provoke this man at all. He tried to hit us for no reason, and that's creepy. Brandon called him a dick, but that was after he tried to run us over. We were good kids trying to walk home, and we almost died, / got seriously hurt because of it. Surprise face. Also, bust highway equals busy highway. It's hard to imagine anything scarier than being chased by someone who genuinely wanted to hurt you. But not every terrifying story has a person you can run away from. Sometimes, the things that haunt people can't be explained at all. The next story comes from someone who, since childhood, claimed to have seen the same mysterious figures over and over again. At first, they thought it was just their imagination. But years later, things started happening that made them question everything. Here's the story. It's a bit late to the thread, so OP, you're probably going to be the only one that reads this. Hi. It's along the same theme as your story. When a kid, I used to take a long time to get to sleep. One night, when I was about 8, I remember turning over in my bed and there, standing nonchalantly, was a soldier. He was in full color but clearly not solid. I remember it clearly, and I would now say that he was World War I era. He just looked at me with no expression, and I remember being really surprised that I wasn't at all scared, but really calm. It felt like passing an old friend on the street and giving a polite nod. I know about sleep paralysis, but it goes on. A few years later, I was folding clothes in my room. I have a small room off my bedroom that's half closet, half study room. I looked up, and right through that room, strolled a soldier in very old dress. Far older dress than the one I'd seen years before. He looked at me with a sort of nearly cheeky smile. Again, I was shocked that I wasn't scared at all. Even though I didn't understand it, I felt very calm. During these years, I used to struggle with a recurring dream. I'd be lying in a field that was completely churned up, unable to get up as I'd been badly hurt in my lower back, with my legs covered in blood. In the dream, I know I am just waiting to die, and the battle has moved on away from this field. Then, a soldier, World War I era, comes running past me. I raise a handgun, level it at his chest, and fire. He collapses down near me, and we make eye contact. He looks at me with such hatred, a real, why, look. He raises the rifle he was carrying and aims right at my head. I deliberately don't even try to move. I remember the eye contact once more, and me trying to convey to him that I was sorry, and to go ahead. Then I'm aware of him about to fire, then I'd wake up gasping and drenched in sweat. This dream stopped in my mid-teens. Fast forward to when I'm 19, I slipped on some steps and broke a bone in my lower lumbar spine. I remember lying in a hospital bed in so much pain, I could barely breathe. Doctors and nurses and patients were walking past going about their business. Then 2 soldiers walk in. They don't say anything, but are in formal dress and come over to my bed and take off their hats. They stand there for several minutes, just smiling encouragingly, and then nod and slowly fade. I don't know what happened, because I'm not a crier, but I burst into tears. It wasn't anything to do with the pain, but I ended up just sobbing for about an hour. I felt this absolutely tremendous relief inside me, as if I'd been burdened by a guilt for my entire life that had just released. I'll end the story with the part which keeps me from questioning if I'm crazy. My mother used to be friends with a man who claimed to be shaman. I never bought into any of that stuff, and before I met him I used to tease my mom for believing anything he said. The first time he met me, he looked at me for a minute without saying anything. His eyes were extremely piercing. He then said, "Christ, you've been busy in your time. You're surrounded by soldiers. A lot of soldiers. From a lot of history." It kind of made me feel better, as I'd sort of assumed I had something wrong with me. Then when my younger brother started having imaginary friends at about 3, he used to always mention the big men with funny clothes that would walk with me from time to time. There's been multiple other bits and pieces of related things that have happened to me growing up, but it'd take all day to write it all out. Anyway, hopefully you took something from reading. Edit. A few people are asking for a bit more info. I do have a few more incidences that are quite interesting. It was a crazy phase of my life that I'm glad happened, but I'm also very glad seems to be mostly over. Naturally, I've never talked about this before outside my family. Actually feels quite good to have shared it. I'm a bit busy with study right now, but I'll write a bit more tomorrow when I have time. I'll reply to any comments below to let you guys know. I appreciate nobody calling me insane. It's why I don't talk about it. Pretty much because if none of it happened to me, I don't think I'd believe it. And that's our top 3 creepiest real Reddit stories. Whether it was the stranger scratching a car in the middle of the night, the maniac in the white truck, or the mysterious soldiers that appeared throughout someone's life, each of these stories leaves you wondering what really happened. Now I want to hear from you. Which story creeped you out the most? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and want to hear more disturbing true stories from Reddit, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.